Well, Iran says that it has made arrests in the accidental shooting down of a Ukrainian passenger plane. The crash earlier this month killed all 176 people on board. It also sparked protest in Tehran, with demonstrators calling for accountability. Officials have not confirmed how many arrests were made. Iran admits it shot down the plane, but says it was a mistake. Joining us now from Capitol Hill is Congressman Michael Waltz, Republican from Florida and member of the House Armed Services Committee. Representative Waltz, welcome back and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So how relevant is it that the Iranian government has publicly said that it was responsible for the downing of that airplane?
Well, I'm glad they finally admitted to this heinous and horrific act. It was incredibly disturbing that the Iranian government initially covered it up. And I think that's what you're seeing the Iranian people protest now so courageously and so forcefully, that this is one of just another long string of lies from this dictatorship, this religious dictatorship that is the Iranian regime.
Yeah, speaking of the protests, the footage from the protest over the weekend was pretty dramatic. And I know that you reference it on social media. What, if anything, do you think the U.S. should do to help the demonstrators?
Well, I think one thing that is so clear and different now is that these protesters, these people just desperately crying out for their own freedoms, and are also protesting the endemic corruption that's found in the regime, believe they have the support and do have the support of the President of the United States. And that's such a contrast to 2009, when the Green movement in Iran really took off and really gained grassroots, massive popular support. And what did they hear from Washington? Silence. That really, I think, in many ways took the wind out of their sail. Now this president has said, we support you, we're with you. He said it repeatedly, publicly, and in Farsi, and has shown his willingness to act and stand up to the regime.
Congressman, what do you think the chances are the protests will lead to a regime change?
Well, I don't know yet, and I don't know how this is really going to unfold, except that I know that Iran is full of Kurds, is full of Arabs, is full of folks called the Baluch and others that have been pushing back against the oppressiveness of this regime for decades now. To see it take off in Tehran is promising. At the end of the day, what we want from the U.S. perspective is the regime to change its behavior, to stop supporting terrorism, stop taking Americans and others hostage. There are Americans right now literally chained to the floor of Iranian prisons for no other crime except being Americans, and stop its development of ballistic missiles and a nuclear weapons program. We're not looking to suspend it, we want to stop it and eliminate it. That's what we're looking for from a U.S. policy perspective, for stability across the Middle East. But for the Iranian people, they're looking to have a free and open future, and that's something the United States absolutely should support. In fact, if I could just say, the Republicans in the House just tried to enter a bill onto the floor of the House of Representatives, publicly supporting these protesters as well, and unfortunately it was blocked by the Democrats from coming to the floor, and that to me is incredibly disappointing.
Yeah. Well, Representative Michael Waltz, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your insight. Michael Waltz, Republican from the state of Florida, thanks for joining us, and thank you for your service.
Thanks so much.